like most conversations about sex, we start over, right? About.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. welcome. I had this song all lined up for all of you. And, we're talking tonight about, we're talking about sex transmutation. Woo! It's the moment we start talking about sex transmutation, stuff just happens. So I want to first welcome all of you to the Think and Grow Rich podcast show. Welcome. And for those of you that have been with us for a few seconds, I'm so happy to be with each one of you because today we're talking about sex transmutation, the vibes, the energy, the ability to exude this sense of confidence, clarity, and purpose in a way that attracts people and magnetizes you. And that's what sex transmutation is all about. I had to bring in some of my co-hosts who I adore, and they are the best crew who is able to just go with the flow, and we have a lot of fun. Join us this morning. Hey, Galen, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. This is going to be a great this is already off to a great start, this conversation. It keeps you on your toes. You've got to be awake. You can't do this on autopilot. This chapter in particular always gets me excited because it causes me to think about things on a different level. And I was sharing earlier that on page 205 in this version of the book, it says, sex alone is a mighty urge to action, but its forces are like a cyclone. They are often uncontrollable. When the emotion of love begins to mix itself with the emotion of sex, the result is calmness of purpose, poise, accuracy of judgment, and balance. And that is kind of how I'm feeling right now. So I'm interested to see how this discussion illuminates some other things that might be going on in my life. And talking to our guests is going to be a great treat as well. So back to you.
I love that you spoke about love because lately I've been seeing lots of discussions about love in business and love in family and love and the power of love and the power to move us to do amazing things. And really, when we're talking about sex transmutation, it is the love and that propels us to a whole different place. And Ursula Odom, I know you have some great stories. And I'm so glad that you're here, Ursula, because I need your love.
And you got it. And you're evoking the memory of a wonderful person who I happen to love. And when we talk about this chapter, that person was a salesperson. And he had the ability to use the whole statement about know, like, and trust, and the charisma that goes along with the magnetism that is required to be in sales. So when I think of this chapter as sexual transmutation, when everything is working and it's all systems go, you can be an incredible salesperson because I saw it in action. And if you're in sales, this might be the chapter you need to really go deep dive into and understand what it's all about, because you may emerge as this charismatic person that can really rock and roll.
And I love what you say about know, like, and trust, and the concept of charisma that comes out of how we use our energy to serve, because sales is all about service. Sales is all about that. And we have an interesting member of our group, because a lot of people think of charisma and sales as this whoa, we got to be out there. And yet we have learned that quiet, exuding confidence, charisma doesn't have to be loud, but it does have to show up. And there's none other but Anne McNeil with her red glasses, how she moves and grooves us. So Anne, you tell us about Think and Grow Rich and sex transmutation from your point of view.
Well, my point of view, I'm going to come directly from Napoleon Hill's words and just share those before we get introduced to our awesome guest today. And very simply, Napoleon Hill says that the meaning of the word transmute is, in simple language, the changing or transferring of one element or form of energy into another. And then he goes on to talk about why. What I like most about this is the learning. So for myself, since 1979, just the learning on the journey and really understanding just a little about how to actually transmute that energy in every single area of the life. And so I'm very excited about this show as we share with our listeners how they too can learn how to transmute or transfer one form of energy into another. And one of the people that I think that do that very well are bodybuilders. You know, when you think about what's required to exercise and go into that, excuse me, and go into that gym and really tear your muscles, the mental energy and the sexual energy is the same way. It's just a form of transferring that energy from one form to another. So I'm very excited about that conversation and I'm ready to start.
I'm very excited about this conversation and to introduce you to someone that I'm so excited to meet and talk to and learn about, because the woman that we're about to meet, she herself is amazing, and she's going to bring a dynamic that I think is really important for us all to talk about, and that is she is an expert in actually working with professionals who are, some of them who are 19 years old, they go up to 40 years old because of the career that they chose. And then she's been working with them. So let me share a little bit about this magnificent guest that we have so that you know what I'm talking about. She's a financial guru. She's an inspirational speaker. She's a 3 times international best-selling author. She is a transformative business consultant who specializes in people, productivity, and profitability. She strategically works with female veterans, executives, entrepreneurs, unleashing their power towards greater good. Her mantra, you are fire when you are focused. Ooh, that's going to be a good one for today. Known as a pusher, providing guidance and motivation to start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can mentally. That's power. Professionally, Johnny has mentored and served thousands of military members and families during her 27 years as an accomplished federal leader who has traveled globally to support members at bases, headquarters, and major commands, delivering strategic tricks and tips for productive and profitable growth of people, money, and communication. Her powerful backstory from homelessness to senior level executive in profit, nonprofit, and government agencies. She deals with life transitions, providing insight and hope. She holds a master's in organizational leadership and bachelor's degree in accounting. She definitely knows from experience, and you're going to hear all about it, the 2 greatest days in a person's life are the day they were born and the day a person discovers why they were born. Woo! She believes that there is a why for everyone and that each of us was created with the potential to achieve greatness, to make a difference in the world, to add value to others, and as a result, experience a full and rewarding life. This is the woman of Johnny Lloyd. That's right, Johnny. Johnny is here to share with us. And Johnny, I'm so excited to have you.
It is such a pleasure to be here. And I just want to say thank you for being here and thank you to everybody because it makes a difference. It makes a difference. So thank you so much.
You know, it so does. Is just showing up is half the battle, isn't it? So Johnny, you know, we love and read the Think and Grow Rich book. And so I always am curious, how did you get attracted to Think and Grow Rich? How did that show up in your life?
Well, the interesting thing is that one of the first places I found it is when my parents joined a multi-level marketing thing, and they became very successful in it, actually. And so it was called Amway. And so what ended up happening is it helped transform their mindset. And so what it taught you how to build you. And during that time, you know, they were feeding us a little bit of it, feeding us this of it. And we were like, yeah, whatever. But really what happened is when I needed it, you know how you go back to the back of your brain and you say, I remember I'm better than this. I can do better than this. So I was introduced to it through my parents, but I actually started living it at a place when I became divorced and end up with a small child. I had a baby at the time, and I almost died. And at the same time, I became homeless. So that's when I started using it, and I haven't stopped because the principles work. So that was.
And I love that you found the book. I love that your parents, you'll hear later on how we know that when parents introduce the concept to the book ends up coming back to that child at the right and perfect time. I'm also so grateful that you're here and your mission, because I'm guessing that we really don't want everybody to go homeless and have to die to find the solution, the process. So I'm glad that you're here to help us go from wherever we are. You say it all the time, right? It's what's your mantra? What is the mantra that you say?
It's well, I have two. The one is your fire when you're focused. And when you're focused, what happens, and even through the book, when you take your focus and you lead it to one point, everything in your peripheral vision burns away. And so you become fire, you become a driving force. You know, in the center of the fire is the red. I mean, the beautiful colors are on the outside, but fire can be used for the good and it can be used for the bad, the same way as our brain. We're fire when we're focused because we're not easily distracted. And we build our attention and build leverage. We build, even in the midst of failure, we go forward when we're absolutely take that energy and stay focused.
So Galen is going to be telling us in a little bit about the 13 principles, but I want to ask you a question because we are talking about the chapter of sex transmutation. And can you just share your perspective of it or your favorite part about it? What does that mean to you based on what you've learned through the book? And clearly you've been reading the book for a long time. Can you, and you study, right? You're Napoleon Hill certified.
I am Napoleon Hill certified. This chapter, to be honest with you, initially when I first started reading it, I said, sex transmutation, what? And wanted to drop the book. However, what ended up happening, and I said, of course, to take one of the greatest expressions, emotions that we have, and to actually convert it into an energy that we can target, it's just one of the most powerful things we can ever do. Because in that place is our innovation, in that place is our creativity, in that place is our desire. So when I looked at the book and I read the chapter, one of the things that came out to me and just screamed is how to take that energy and to strategically, because I'm a strategist, to strategically align it in a way and not think from the negative perspective. Because most people think of sex, they think, uh-oh, sex is natural. So how do you take something natural and you build it in your head and you convert the thought of that and then drive the energy home? And so in my life, because of my background, you know, we were taught, you know, don't have sex till you're married and all that stuff, right? So, and that was true. There's nothing wrong with it. But we were also sex was looked at as a negative. You know, this is the purpose of it. You only have it here. However, the emotion of sex is real. Like you were talking about the charismatic view and all of that, it's real. And to take that power and to be able to target it is something that will impact every area of our lives, whether we're talking about money, whether we're talking about our personal life, professional life, even with our children. when you take that energy and you show them the love. And right now, to be honest with you, the one thing that I look at is even as I continue to read the chapter, and I looked at it recently. I'm always looking at that chapter. It was one of my favorite. But when I look at it, I look at COVID and what we're going through right now. And I said, one of the things that people are missing is that touch. And when you lose the sense of touch, it's actually the sense we think is at our fingers, but it's really in our brain. And we have to do something to stay connected to people, to be socially distanced, but not emotionally distanced. And so that's where we can take this power of sex transmutation and really drive it home and do nice things for people that causes our endorphins to grow. So yeah.
I love that. And I love that you were talking about, with COVID and anytime that you were alone, we're so attached to the tactile that I believe that one of the things that's happening right now is we're learning to use our energy, this sex transmutation to exude and send in vibes of pure love. And it's always a choice, right? You're either going to do love or you're going to do something else. And before we continue, Galen is eager because, as you know, sex transmutation is just one of the 13 principles. And if you've never read the book, you really need to know that this is a comprehensive, life-changing, success-building, money-making, awesome love bunny moment. And Galen's going to share with those other 13 principles.
Yeah, thank you for that. This reminds me of when I was in my early 30s, just starting my career. My career was starting to take off a little bit, but it was getting more complicated. And I remember, I remember saying to one of my mentors, "I wish someone would just tell me how this thing works. How do you do this stuff?" Right? And this book, Napoleon Hill, really does do that. The first principle that he talks about is desire, and it is the turning point of all achievement. You can't do anything unless you desire to do it, and you've got a focus on that desire. The second step is faith and visualization of and the belief in the attainment of that desire. If you don't believe that you can achieve that thing that you want, you have virtually no possibility of achieving it on purpose. You might achieve it accidentally, but not on purpose. The next principle is autosuggestion. This is the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. We are learning more and more how powerful the subconscious mind is, and that really is the engine for anything that you want to create. There's a way to influence. You can't control your subconscious mind, but you can influence your subconscious mind, and that's through autosuggestion. Next is specialized knowledge, personal experience and observations. There are two kinds of knowledge. There's general knowledge and there's specialized knowledge. Both are important, but the world only pays for specialized knowledge. And Napoleon Hill discusses that and explains how you can determine where your specialized knowledge may be. And then it's imagination, which is the workshop of the mind. Really, really important. Organized planning and the crystallization of desire into action. It's really important that you take all of the principles and all the things that you've learned in your life, organize it into some way where you can actually execute against it, against this thing that you are desiring to achieve. Next, he talks about decision, which is the mastery of procrastination. We all get seduced into procrastinating from time to time. And Napoleon Hill actually talks about the first thing that you've got to do in order to master procrastination is to make a decision. And decision comes from the root word, which literally means to cut off all other options. So he discusses that. Next, he talks about persistence, the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. because one thing is absolutely for sure. The first time you try to accomplish something, you're going to meet with all kinds of opposition. It's not going to go the way the brochure describes. So unless you have persistence, you're not going to achieve that goal. And that procrastination is going to become a lot more attractive to you. And then we come to the mystery of sex transmutation, which is what we're talking about today. And this is about how do you understand the magic that brings all this stuff together? How do you transfer your desire into action with an energy that we all possess, but we don't always use in this way, in this most productive way? Next, we're going to be talking about the subconscious mind, which is the connecting link. And then we'll talk about the brain, which is a broadcasting and receiving station for thought. He talks about how your brain is always working. It is always sending messages, it's always receiving messages. How can you tune into that so that you can make sure that you're moving towards your goal? And then we talk about the sixth sense, which is the door to the temple of wisdom. There is this thing that it's very hard for us to describe. It's very hard for us to identify, but it's that small voice that tells you go this way as opposed to that way, pursue this opportunity versus that opportunity, turn down this request. And very often when we listen to that small voice, we end up in an incredibly good place. When we don't, that's when we wish we had. The Sixth Sense is a chapter that I encourage everyone, and a principle I encourage everyone to really tune into. And then those are the 13 principles. But there's a section in the back of the book, which I never ever read the back of almost any book that I read. But the epilogue is so chock full of incredible information. One is where he talks about how to outwit the six ghosts of fear. Because I believe that anytime you see people acting irrationally, they're usually being driven by fear. And you can never get to a comfortable place, to a successful place, if you're always driven by fear. And so Napoleon Hill talks about that, gives you some great things and practical ways to navigate around your fears so that you're pursuing your goals. So those are the 13 principles. Any one of them could be worth an entire conversation. That's why we come to you every Saturday to discuss each element and each principle of this incredible success formula. So back to you, Pagine.
Wow, thank you so much, because you did that. You did a great job, Galen. Thank you for sharing that with everybody. So, Galen, I know you have a question for Johnny, and why don't you just lead us off? And here at the table that we're talking, come on, bring it on.
Yeah, yeah. So just I want to go back to almost where I started this conversation. This idea of we tend to think of sex as an action, but Napoleon Hill talks about it's this calmness, it's this poise, it's this accuracy, it's this clarity. And when I think about people that I've been sexually drawn to, they always seem to have this calm, this poise, this air about them, as opposed to what we might think of when we think of sex. So my question to you is, what are some times when you've had incredible clarity around what you were trying to accomplish, and it almost, there's a poem that says when everyone around you is losing their head, and you can maintain your calm, that's when you step into leadership. And I butchered that poem. But when were some moments when you can think of where you've just had this incredible clarity, and that's made all the difference, and you think it might be an example of what Napoleon Hill was talking about here?
Wow, that's a great question, Galen. One of the things that I would say is when I was, in my story, I talk about laying back on orange shag carpet. I was sleeping on orange shag carpet, homeless, and my baby that was only less than 2 years old was on my chest because I didn't want to lay her on the floor, and tears rolled down my face. And something triggered in me the burning desire that said, you're better than this. And so when I got up, and it's about people arising, I woke up to the reality, right? But it wasn't my reality. It was the truth, but it wasn't my truth. So that burning desire came into then. And then I ended up getting up and saying, whatever it takes, we're going to do this. And that clarity was the fire when you're focused. I started burning out the orange rich, the shag carpet. I started burning out the fact that the kids were playing in boxes because the whole house was empty, but they were having a ball. They didn't know, they had no idea. And so the other thing is to transform my mindset, because you can't attract what you're not. You just can't, because you attract more of who you are. So I had to stop being a victim to the situation and find in it the victory that I can get. And I fought for that. That was absolutely clear to me. And then another place was when I decided to walk away from my job. It was the best job I ever had. It was making the most money I ever made. And I was like, this is not God. Somebody's talking in my head, but this doesn't make no sense. But I started going through and that's when I went through the certification program, but it wasn't to certify, because most people are good at a million things. We've been in a million relationships. We've done a million things in our lives. But what is the one thing that you were created to do? What is the one thing that you can target on that is your passion, the thing I was created for? And when I found that burning desire and wrote out what my definite major purpose is. Purpose is one thing, but your definite major purpose, once I got clarity on that, it's been a wrap. I know. Now, is there stuff that still comes onto my sides and I see it? I have what I call SOS, shiny object syndrome. Something else is shining in front of me, and I start running after, this is wonderful, it's new. And then I said, no, get back online. So that's the key. And the same thing when you do sex transmutation and you take that energy, even when the fear. I love the fact that you brought up the 6 ghosts of fear, because that's what I was dealing with on the floor. I was dealing with most of those ghosts was attacking me, and I wasn't going to succumb to that. But it is a decision that we have to make. Nobody else can make that decision for you. We have to make it personally, and we have to do the work. And that's the key. Somebody else can help you, lead you, but nobody else can walk that journey for you.
Oh my.
So that's the points of clarity that help me to know and understand the power of it. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping other people become aware of it.
Wow. I'm gonna bring in my colleague Ursula, but I just want to talk to the audience. You guys, if you're watching this and you don't have a pencil and piece of paper in front of you, oh my gosh, there are just so many things I'm gonna highlight that you absolutely have to. This is like a teacher, right? Write down. This was the reality, but this was not my reality. This was truth, but this was not my truth. Oh my gosh, this is, and we're like, what, 10 minutes in, 20, 15 minutes in? Ursula, what questions do you have? Because I got to take some notes.
Okay, so this part of it is for the salespeople on with us this morning, because I know you talked about your parents were in sales, and for whatever reason, that's the space I was in this morning. And for those of you with the book, on page 201, it starts talking about salespeople, and you just mentioned a teacher. And a teacher was responsible for 30,000 people that were in sales. And so the book talks about the personal magnetism and all of that. So read it, go to that part and read it. But for me, what I want to tell and then ask the question is that I was married to a salesperson, and we made a great team. He's since passed along, but the very thing that makes a salesperson very good can tear people apart, because it's that magnetism. It is that attracting people, because people want to be like them, be around them, and what have you. And I remember one time when I got this phone call when he was out of town. He said, "Hey, Princess, you got to talk to this woman. She's drop dead gorgeous, but she would be really good at this," because he was in network marketing. So I got on the phone. I said, "Hey, if he's calling you drop dead gorgeous, you must be out of sight." So, and I heard the air just go out of her, because she thought that he was coming on to her, and that wasn't the deal at all. And he was right, because she ended up being one of our best salespeople. So when I hear you talking about your parents being in sales, so speak to the power of the attraction, or the power of using that magnetism to get the things of desire in a positive way.
Wow. I'm glad you added in a positive way. I mean, honestly, when they're charismatic, we have to be careful when we understand this power, because power is like money. It's not emotional. It's not intelligent. It's not any of those things. It's based on the person who's utilizing it. So this power in this chapter can be used for both good and evil. The key with it is using it for the good, and not for our good personally, but for our good collectively. Because when most people think of sex, if I can move back there just a sec, it's not about just you. There are two people involved in this. So in the relationship, there's always more than one person. So to take that for the salespeople, and to take that energy, for me, is two things. You can tell when you're going and somebody's selling you something, and you feel like, I feel like he's taking stuff for me, or she's taking things from me. And then you deal with the salesperson, and they find out who you are, people that you know, like, and trust. They build that trust. You know that it's for your good, at least you believe it's for your good. So that's an easier person to bring in. And then what I would say is that all of us are salespeople. We're selling something. We're all our own brand. How do we treat ourselves? How do we present ourselves to other people? What do people see when they see you? What do people get when they get you? You know, what did they physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, what do they get when they get you? So in the sales arena, to take the power of sex transmutation, to take the power of charisma, to take the power of influence is a two-sided sword. It can either cut you or it can help you. And most salespeople come in, and if they come in to help the person, don't forget, I mean, in the back of their head, they're thinking money. I mean, all of us got to make it. I got it. Okay, I got it. However, what is the other person going to get out of it? And when they switch to that, their sales will increase. They'll walk away happier. They'll build greater relationships. Because some people are saying not no. Some people are saying no. Some people are saying not now. But don't cut them off. When you don't get what you want in it, don't cut people off. Allow them to cut themselves off. Soar to the next level. And when you go to a higher level, then people can't breathe at that level that are not supposed to be with you. It's like an eagle. You know, it's an eagle soars, and what they do is that they just go to a high place. I don't need to get this stuff off me. I don't need to fight with other people. It's fire when you're focused. Focus on what you are supposed to do, and before you know it, people will they'll dissipate, and then other people will show up. They'll just show up because you're stepping in faith. And this is part of the book too, to step forward. So that's what I would say to salespeople. Don't trip. Don't trip. And then also have a definite major purpose. Remember, the thing is how much sells, and you'll see people attracted to that. And then when I look at desire as number one in transmuting sex mutation is number 10, is just one at a higher level. When you look at, I'm a numer, I love numbers. Y'all know I do numbers. So 1 and 10 is just one at a higher level. So when you look at one, desire, and you look at taking the energy of sex and transmuting it to a greater power, it's just desire at another level, at a higher level. So take it to a higher level for them.
Well, I'm falling in love with you. I mean, the line, Galen and I were both highlighting the same line. If people can't breathe at your level, they're not supposed to be with you. We're breathing in a lot of you right now. I got to tell you, Johnny, you're breathing in, and Anne McNeil is like, so if you haven't gotten caught in her oxygen intake, you are about to, because she's breathing in all you're saying, right, Anne?
I'm excited. I'm excited. I just recently saw you, Johnny, while we were both at the Napoleon Hill Foundation certification. And I think we all learned a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot about Napoleon Hill. And one of the things that I learned during that course, even though I was presenting as one of the instructors and listening, and I was pleasantly surprised to hear from Don Green, which we're looking forward to having him as a guest again on our show. But I was pleasantly surprised to hear that Napoleon Hill was married how many times?
Yeah. Yeah. And still had problems with, containing himself. Yes, there were some issues. Yeah. Was over 3, wasn't it?
Over 3.
Over 3 times, yeah.
Over 3. And so I bring that up because first thing came to my mind was this chapter. First thing came to my mind was this chapter. So the principles are forever. They're biblical principles. And, the other book speaks to this. And we have lots of examples of people in the other book. I'm referring to the other book. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. It gives us examples. But my question to you this morning is, can you share with us your thoughts about people who abuse this principle?
Wow. Okay, so let me define what I say abuse, what I mean by abuse, if I may first.
Sure, of course.
Abuse is the misuse of anything from its intended purpose. So when you take and everybody may not be able to deal with this. I mean, I think about this, but I remember undoing wires and opening my car door, but that was the misuse of a hanger. I abused from the intention of the creator for that thing. So when you look at sex, and even in Napoleon Hill, he talks about the 3 reasons for sex. And one of them is, one of them in the chapter talks about the maintenance of health. One talks about reappropriation to grow, to reproduce. And the other one is to transform mediocrity into genius. So when a person abuses sex, they tap into a dark place for not just the person, but for the person that they're with. Because what they've done is taken something that could have been good, could have been
spiritual,
could have been good from that perspective. I'm not saying it didn't feel good. I'm saying it wasn't good. Because when you connect with somebody at that level, at that vibration, then their spirit and your spirit connects. I used to go out and party. I used to be a party girl. So I would go in, and some of my guy friends, would say, I'm going to be with her before the night is over. And he was. When everybody had did whatever the whole night, but at the end of the night, he was with her. But there was something in her spirit that he tapped onto, that he connected with, that he knew, he recognized. So that's what happens when people abuse it, that they will look at somebody else and they will take it for their use, which is abuse, and not consider the whole matter or the power that is connected to not just the act of sex, but the emotion of sex. And then this is the other thing, just for us ladies, for the women that think, if I don't have him, if I have sex with him, I can get him. That's not true. There's something it's well known that a male that does not care for you before he has sex with you cares for you even less. Because whereas women release an endorphin that causes us to draw in and say, oh my gosh, and this is wonderful. If it's not for him, he'll get up and say, wash his hands and leave, and it's a wrap. So be careful how you abuse one another, because I think I know we're responsible for that. I know we're being held. Okay, go ahead.
Do a rewind. Hold up. Wait. Gotta do.
I'm sorry, what? What I do?
Matter for King. I just have to do a rewind in case some people didn't hear that, because this is an evergreen show. So could you just say that one more time? I just need to hear it again. So what
about the male and the female thing? That one? Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because this is such a spiritual conversation. Mm-hmm. And then oftentimes single people, and we've all been single, some of us more than we desire to admit. But what happens is that if you don't know yourself, if you don't have a spiritual alignment, then there's no way for you really even to connect to this conversation. It may not be for you, but for those who this is for you, and you're wondering why certain things are happening or not happening in your life, and sometimes in your business, we just want to do a rewind on that last part. Okay, so you can go back again, please. Thank you.
Okay, so in the relationship, and this is even in business. I love the way that you brought up business. You can go into a room in business, and I'm gonna go back to the 60s. You can go into a room in business and you know that this is not, you don't even know why you don't know, but she says there's something that just doesn't feel right.
Makes sense.
I feel dirty when I come away from this conversation or this person. What is it? And it's not, some people say, well, you just think you're better than everybody. No. Everybody has a spirit, and we are responsible for protecting our spirit, soul, and body. We are responsible for that. We get a chance to control three things: our mind, our will, and our emotions. And sex is an emotion. It's connected to an emotion. I get a chance to control it. So anyway, go back to what I was saying. This is the deal. Men and women were created very differently, even in business. So when it's about the chase and it's about the conquest for a man. But women, whatever you did to get him, you need to keep doing to keep him, because that was the basis that you built the relationship on. Okay? So then what I said earlier was that in the act of sex, once they get what they desire in it, if they never wanted the person, if they didn't care about the person that they're with, then when they get up, it's done. Their conquest has been made. It doesn't mean that they won't come back. It just means that they're done. For a woman, she says, she goes through this, oh, everything, I got him. No, sweetie, you got it, but you didn't get him. Mm-hmm. So we have to look at that. And in business, I think we have to be careful. As a salesperson, we have to be careful to not be about the end. It be about my integrity, my character. When I walk away, was it a win-win? Or was it a win-lose? And sometimes, especially in this environment that we have grown into, that we look at win-lose, and we really can win-win. I don't have to.
Donnie, you are just so, I got to jump in because it's so interesting about something that you said, you know, of really recognizing what, when you begin the dating process, or you begin the sales process, or you begin in business, when you begin the referral process. In other words, that people want to refer business to you. I find that oftentimes we do not recognize or spend time recognizing what made us referable. What was the personality? What were we exuding when we're in relationship? What did we bring to the relationship that said, I want you, you want me, we want to do this for a long term? And when you're working long term, forgetting what brought you together, that over time you might lose your, it might look like you're losing your sex appeal, but what is really happening is your behavior is no longer bringing your A game into that relationship. You know, for myself is the recognition that one of my superpowers is enthusiasm and life and joy and doing business. After a while, when you do it for a long time, you get so caught up in the, I have to look like business, that you forget that what got you the business was this energy, enthusiasm, charisma. And if you lose that, you actually lose your business. Been there, done that, by the way. No, that's just a fact, Jack. So I want you to talk about, and continue to talk about, because I think it's a really powerful message that you're saying is I wrote it down, you know, this concept of the will, the mind, the emotion, and the concept of that if you can't breathe, people can't breathe at your level, they're not supposed to be with you. And so when you're building your business, you're building your family, you're building, and your job, as I'm hearing you say, is to elevate and master your personality in the highest best good, and really never lose that. Is that what I'm hearing you say? And can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yes. A matter of fact, it's part of what Anne alluded to earlier when she said self-awareness. For me to be me, I have to be aware of who I am. Most people allow other people to define other things to define them. For an example, I have a client and I said, you need to stop saying that. And she said, what? She said, I said, you talk about your spouse and you said, but he says what he sees, which is positive. She says what she is, which is negative. I said, one day he's going to wake up and he's going to repeat what you said. She says she's fat. I mean, be a little bit more. She says, I'm fat, you know, look at all, this is happening, that's happening. I said, but y'all been together forever. What's the problem? So the deal with self-awareness and self-care is so important as you go up, as you move up. And I'm not talking about elevate money. It's not just about money, because you can have money and be unhappy. So money doesn't make you happy. You have to be happy. And other people. Okay, so I was about to say something. Let me say it like this. If you allow other people to make you happy or sad, you have given them your power. So people say, are you like this, Johnny, all the time? I say, yeah, I get up like this. I do. I get up happy. I mean, I have to put my first leg out of the bed first, you know, but I get up happy. But it's a decision. It's not because my world is happy. It's not because everything is perfect. It's not because I have million coming down, but I do feel that thing happening, but it's not happening. It's not relevant. It's not happening. It has not manifested itself yet at the level that I know it will. However, I determine. So in the relationship, in self-awareness, in self-care, in moving forward, it is imperative that we maintain our own power. Because one of the things Napoleon Hill talks about, one of the problems, matter of fact, the ghost is other people's opinion. So when we go into other people's opinion of us, it causes us to do one or two things. It causes us to either withdraw and draw back and say, well, I can't, that's right, I am from here. And, they're right. Or it causes us to soar, which says, I don't care what they say. I know what I was created for. And that's why Napoleon Hill concepts, and this is what I said, they're principles. The reason I call Napoleon Hill principles is because principles work. Principles are like gravity. It doesn't matter if you believe them or not. It's just true. It's just true. When you use the principles in this book, your life will be transformed. Things will change. Things will happen, not because I said it or anybody else said it, because it's true. This is the breath to go to the next level in people's life. This is the thing that most people are looking for, because they're looking for something and they don't know what it is. It's purpose.
So hold on a minute, Johnny, because I think that Galen is going to jump through if he doesn't say what it is calling him to say.
Answered your question though. Did I answer your question though?
You did, and,
okay,
and so you're lighting up the boards everywhere on Facebook, and here you're lighting up the world, because I think that people did not know that sex transmutation was about stimulating their minds so that their brain functions on a higher than average plane and a higher than average level of intensity. And I'm reading that from the book, but you are just lifting it up. And Galen, come on.
Yeah. So you started talking about power just a little bit, and I wanted to bring in a conversation I was having with one of our co-hosts who couldn't be here today, Dr. Peter James. He and I were talking about how power is always given to someone or something by the followers, right? We give people the power and that influence over us. That's something that's given. And how many times are we giving that power to people who don't deserve it? To things that don't deserve it. Back to your point about there's a misuse of the purpose, but we've given them the power to influence us in ways that we probably shouldn't, and we never really evaluate that. So I just wanted to bring in my conversation with Dr. Peter, because I thought it was just so timely. And I've filled up one notebook just from this conversation.
I love that state. So there is certain levels of power. So I love the comment you just made. Some, especially as a leader, some leaders are based on their positional power, right? They're in the position, you follow them. But real power, authentic power, is what I hear you talking about. It's when I see that you're I'm gonna call it servant leader. I'm gonna call it that because that's the term that I use all the time. As a servant leader, I choose to follow you. I make the choice to follow you because I know that you're going to help me. You're going to protect me. You're in it for my good. You're not going to intentionally hurt, harm people, know, like, and trust, that kind of power. And this is abuse of power is when it's narcissistic. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the elephant in a room. So narcissistic. When you're a narcissist, it's still power, but what it is going back to mind control. I don't give you the space to learn who you are. And I repeat or do things and then in some cases turn around and say it's your fault that I'm doing it to you.
Mm.
So that's back to what Miss Ann said about self-awareness. When I know you can raise an eagle with a bunch of turkeys, but the whole time the eagle goes, something about this that ain't feeling right to me. So I kind of look like them now, but and then once they take off, that's transformation. Transformation.
So before you go on, I just have to insert one of our before you go on, and I appreciate you tremendously, and I want to just share with everybody that if you're looking for your own authentic power, if you're looking to embrace your self-awareness, the International Masterminds Association has a yearly event that enables you to embrace your power and see it. And Ursula, were you going to talk a little bit about that? We're a little bit over, but they got to hear about it.
Yes. When we're talking about power and knowing who you are, it starts with a self-evaluation and being accountable for the things that you say that you're going to do. And those people that know, like, and love you will say, yeah, really, you really going to do that? And this happens, this happens every year at an annual accountability meeting that takes place in Boca Raton in the first week of January. And this coming year, it's going to be January 8th, 2021. It starts on Friday night and continues through Saturday. And the best example that I have about what this is all about is Anne McNeil said that if you had to stand before God and be accountable for the last 365 days and how you spent it, and then be given another 365 days based on how you did that, you might do things just a little bit differently. So that's what it's about, evaluating what you've done and being held accountable, and helping you to realize that for the next 365 days, you might want to take it a little bit more seriously. It's a family thing. It is for babies through the elderly. We all about helping each other. That's what that weekend is about. We have from 4 and 5-year-olds up to whatever you can imagine. So join us. You talk about being a part of this effort. This is your opportunity to join with us and to bring your family along and get something done. Find out who you are, what power you possess within yourself, because you will begin to evaluate and pull it out.
Thank you so much, Ursula. And everybody, you can go to internationalmasterminders.com to register and join us. And Johnny Lloyd, girlfriend, you just woke us up this morning. You must agree to come back. You must agree to come back, because we really have enjoyed you so much. To Anne McNeil, share with people how they can find you.
Wow. Wow. You can find me at annmcneil.com. And actually, I want to ask everybody to consider, what will you do when you're 92? What will you do when you're 92? One more time, what will you do when you're 92? And I say that because that number for me is the focus. And as I listen to you today, Johnny, and just tying and weaving all of the principles together helps me to really appreciate what we do here. So all of our co-hosts, thank you so very much. AnnMcNeil.com. I live on my text, 786-546-0184. All right, begin.
So we have to write the Beatles to write a new song saying, when I'm 92, dun, dun. Galen, can you share how people get in touch with you?
Yes. Galen Bingham, the leadership strategist. Incredible conversation. You can get a hold of me at Galen at galenbingham.com. And then big event that's coming up, I encourage everyone to take advantage of. I've finally put my 30 years of corporate American experience, 20 years of leadership experience into a course. So you can go to Eventbrite and put in Kill Global Leadership Academy, and a 6-week online course. You're going to learn literally everything that it takes to awaken the leader in you, either whether you're leading organizations and leading other people or leading yourself and just becoming more effective. I would love to see you there. Incredible conversation. Johnny, I think you've got a new apostle over here.
Awesome. Ursula.
Yes. Oh, it's been a wonderful morning. Thank you, Johnny. I've enjoyed every bit of wisdom that you spoke and drew out. So thank you very much. And yes, you do need to come back. I am Ursula Odom, and I'm the CEO of Sula 2, and we make old new in everything that we do. We capture all of that wisdom and the hard work that you've had, that you've experienced, and put it into books, videos, live performances, and legacy walls. And you can reach me at sula2.com, SULATOO.com. And I have a new YouTube channel that I need some followers. So go there and subscribe. Put in Sula, SULA space 2, and you will find me. Thank you. See you there.
And I'm going to be bringing in Johnny in a moment. My name is Piggine, and I'm your host with these fabulous co-hosts that I have and a wonderful guest. You know, I work with women who want to be brave, be bold, be seen, be heard, and be paid well. And if you love Think and Grow Rich, you really want to join my Power Women Elite, where every week we study Think and Grow Rich, and we talk about how you can thrive in your business and grow it powerfully as a woman, expert leader, and authority. So I hope you join me at powerwomanelite.com and join me and take the quiz at Power Women Worldwide so that you know where you stand. And Johnny, I have found a new friend, and I am so glad to meet you. How can people get connected with you?
You can get connected with me at johnnyloyd.com. That's JOHNNIE.Lloyd, johnnyloyd.com. And also I have a YouTube channel looking for additional subscribers. I have fun things out there, like how do you use Oreos and Skittles, and, you know, to do fun things like learn diversity versus inclusion and using outside things that's engaging. So the other thing is, please connect and look at this opportunity and come back and join this great mastermind team every week to get the energy that you need to move forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And everybody, I'll play the song as we go out. Have a fantastic Saturday. We adore you and love you and believe in you. Have a great day, everybody.